If you would stop and think, what is so special and unique about Chanukah that you really don't find by any of the other Yom Tovim, then you'll probably notice that what makes Chanukah different is how far we take the idea of Persumei Nisa, of publicizing the miracle that happened. Because although, of course, by every single Yom Tov, really we celebrate some sort of miracle that happened. But specifically by Chanukah, we find that you don't just make a Pesach Seder in your house or read the Megillah in shul. Chanukah is the only time we find that you're supposed to take the menorah and put it outside or by the window for not to publicize it, not just for yourself, but for the entire world, so that everybody else should be able to see it as well. And there are two questions on this idea. First of all, if you had to choose one miracle out of all the miracles that happened to us throughout history to be the one miracle that we're going to publicize to the whole world, why in the world would you choose this small miracle of Chanukah and the menorah? What happened? There was one jug of oil that was supposed to last only for 1 day, and it lasted for 8 days. Okay, it's a nice miracle, but it doesn't seem very major. Nobody's lives were at stake. So out of all the miracles that happened to us throughout history, why in the world would we choose this to be the number one miracle that we're publicizing to the whole world? That is the first question. Second question is, why exactly are we even publicizing the miracle in the first place? What's the point? If the whole point of Persumei Nisa was just to remind you to thank Hashem for doing the miracle that happened, then we could have just as easily just had the menorah in our house for us and our families to see. So why did we have to publicize it for the whole world? What is really the point of Persumei Nisa? And to understand this, we need to first stop and think. Why exactly does Hashem ever do open miracles for us in the first place? Because if Hashem just wanted to save us for some reason, then he could have just as easily saved us in a way that looks natural and does not look like an open miracle. So why does Hashem ever do open miracles for us? And the Ramban, he famously explains at the very end of Parshas Bo, that the main reason that Hashem ever does and he ever did open miracles for us was to show us and remind us that he is still actively running every single thing that happens to us in this world. So just like he did the open miracle, so too when there are not open miracles happening, he's still always there behind the scenes, controlling everything that happens and doing everything for our best, because that, he says, is the foundation of the whole Torah. And so now it makes a lot of sense why they wanted us to publicize the nes and be mefarsim the nes for everybody in the world, because they wanted to remind everyone that just like Hashem did an open miracle back then, so too he is still actively controlling every single thing that happens in this world. And then of course everybody is going to start living with bitachon, which is the foundation of the whole Torah, like we explained at great length in the last shir. But now, of course, the question still remains. Very nice. We have a wonderful reason why we want to show this nes, to show the miracle to everybody in the world, to remind them that Hashem runs the world. But why in the world would we choose this specific miracle? Out of all the miracles, that we should take the biggest miracles that ever happened in history, and we should be mefarsim that. We should spread that out to the entire world and show everybody that, you see, Hashem did that big miracle, he's doing this. So why would we choose that a jug of oil lasted for 8 days? We could have chosen Kriyas Yamsuf, Matan Torah. So why in the world would we choose such a small, insignificant miracle to publicize to the whole world? And I was thinking that perhaps the reason they specifically chose the small miracle of the menorah and the jug of oil was precisely because it was so small and insignificant. Because they wanted to remind us that it's not just the big things in life that are coming from Hashem and it's Hashem was controlling them. Like life and death, or if you have a big tragedy or a major victory. Because when those kind of things happen, it's much easier for us to stop and remember and look back and say, oh, it was all Hashem. You know when it's really hard to remember it's coming from Hashem? When all the small little insignificant things happen in our lives. When you're stuck in traffic and your kids are all cranky and you have a headache, that's when it's really, really hard to stop and remember it's all from Hashem who loves me, is doing it for my best. So they specifically chose this small miracle of the menorah and the jug of oil to remind us that no matter how small anything seems in our life, it's always coming from Hashem, who's doing it for our best. And just like Hashem made one little jug of oil last for 8 days, so too every single little thing in our life is always coming from Hashem, who loves us, who's doing it for our best. And so this Chanukah, let's make sure we don't miss this opportunity to really light up our lives with the beauty of bitachon. And so let's make sure right now, before you forget, to put a real strong system in place to always remind you that Hashem is running the world and to strengthen your bitachon every single day. You could start learning Chayv Savav V'Shar Bitachon, or you can hit follow and start the new series we have on bitachon and ishtadlus. Whatever it is you do, make sure you do something that you know that you will realistically be able to do on a consistent basis. And then you will be able to take the light and the beauty and the message of Chanukah with you all year long.